Hi everybody. It's weird to do this here, but you're getting a surprise vlog. I'm on a ship in the middle of the Irish Sea, um, basically doing this because I'm bored. I haven't spoken to you guys in a while, so I'm a bit uncomfortable actually. So it's like, can I move this? I'm trying to get it look a bit better, get me more in the frame. I was just out on the ship's deck. That's my hair's mad. My hair's mad all the time. But I hope you're all keeping well. And yeah, they have excellent Wi-Fi at sea now. I guess they use Starlink or something. You can't make phone calls or do text messages, but you can now stream. So I don't know how long this is going to be. I have a Jack Daniels and Coke here. And in my silent cabin. And with no interruptions, so it's great. And the Wi-Fi seems to be working fine. So the reason why I'm in the middle of the Irish Sea on a ship, and this must be a first for me, is I'm coming back from a few days away in England, and during that time I did the AV13 one-day event in Milton Keynes in it's a kind of like a new city somewhere. It's between like London, Birmingham and London, and very American. I felt like I was in New Jersey or something like that. But the event was phenomenal. It was beautiful. There was so much love there, and it was a sellout more or less. Yeah, the hall was packed, and the organisers did a fantastic job, and it just was like you could feel Ian's energy everywhere. It was beautiful, and I just don't feel he's gone. I feel him all the time, but especially at that day one day event, it was just so beautiful. There was so much love in the air and so much good feeling, and a lot of people who showed up there not only showed up because of the speakers, and they're people, they've gone through the AV thing over the years, but it was also about to show their love and their gratitude, you know, to Ian R. Crane and keep his legacy going, and that meant a lot to people. And I saw, I stood on that stage both during my talk and at the very end, when you have to, like, the speaker say goodbye for the final photographs, all I saw in front of me was a ship is going. If the camera's shaking, that's the ship. It should be a smooth crossing tonight because the Irish Sea is very flat tonight. But all I saw was a smiling face, like having a vibrator up your arse. Uh, Smiling faces and joy. Everyone was happy, and the organisers did a great job. And I met so many of you, and I'm not going to go naming people because you all know who you are. And what happens is, if I name people, I'll leave people out, not out of being rude, but because I just forget. So look, you know who you are. So I spent a few days afterwards traveling around England and kind of very introspectively doing and thinking about stuff, and I got unloaded down. I went to visit some sites and got some footage for future Hocus Focus location reports and some films for 313. And there will be a Hocus Focus this Sunday. I told Sarah when I get back that night we'll record a show, so there will be a show. And yeah, so it's funny, when I go to an ancient site or, a ruined churchyard or something that has this kind of ethereal feeling to it, it's then that I get my kind of, tinfoil hat conspiratorial downloads. It's the funniest thing. Like, I don't watch shooter videos. I hate them, actually. just about every True to video makes me sick. They're hateful. Well, not all of them, but so much of them are hateful. They're filled with confirmation bias. They're also usually incredibly too long. And that's also, there's a lot of sensory bombardment. Now, that's not to say they're all talking shite or anything. It's just that I can't, I just like, there'll be a time I used to say 10 years ago, I'd watch just about any alt media channel out there. I think I watch almost none now. There's so much, some of them are so toxic. And we don't need, finger pointers and pussies and delusional psychotics during a war. We're at war. We need staunch, stoic soldiers and people who know what the clear and present danger is, rather than pointing around and going shill, 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 blah, blah, blah. Any asshole can do that. But some revelations that came to me. Well, one I spoke about at the AV13, and I'm probably not the first one to figure this one out. But
good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the captain speaking. My name is Jacek, and I am the duty master for our crossing from Bergen to Belfast. On behalf of the Stena Line, our officers and crew, I would like to welcome you on board the Stena Ambla. Our cargo operation is complete now, and the vessel is nearly secure for sea. Our arrival time on the site in Belfast tomorrow morning, 0630 tomorrow morning in Belfast. Weather for our night crossing is good. We expect mainly southeasterly wind force 3 to 5. Sea state should be slight. But please be reminded the outside decks may be slippery. And please exercise extreme caution if you decide to use these decks. I would like to ask you to pay particular attention for the following safety announcement. I trust that you will enjoy your crossing on board Stena Ambla, and thank you for your attention. I wish you very good evening. And thank you for your attention. I wish you very good evening.
okay. Thank you, Captain Borat. Anyway, playing the sound safety announcement on the TV.
We are happy to have you with us. We want you to have a safe and comfortable crossing, so please take a moment to listen to this safety announcement.
At least you're getting some seafaring
If there
culture.
is an emergency, you will hear the safety alarm. 7 short blasts, followed by 1 long blast. This signals that you need to go to an assembly station. If you have warm clothing nearby, put it on. Do not bring any luggage.
What about porn bags?
The assembly stations are marked by a green and white sign.
I'll do it again, right there.
People. Follow the arrows to find your way. Please move calmly and avoid getting in the way of others. Do not use elevators.
If the ship is going down, Mrs., I'm going to be not only getting in the way of others, but
At
pushing
the
them out of the
assembly
way.
station, our crew members will tell you what to do next.
Assembly station, you want to do next, spray.
Thank you for listening to this safety announcement. If you have any questions, please ask a member of our crew. They will be happy to help.
How quickly does
We
hype...
hope you enjoy the rest of your journey with us, and that we'll see you on board one of our Stena Line vessels again soon. Take care.
Okay. There you go, Mrs. Okay. So, yeah. As I was saying for the 50,000th fucking time, the download that I got, the first one was, I never, you walk up to climate change people, and they're all terrified about carbon. Oh, it's too much in the atmosphere. All this kind of stuff. And the obvious way to remove carbon from the atmosphere is to plant forests. But when you say this to them, well, why don't we go on a massive forestry program? A lot of agricultural land like upland bog, and even the bogs of Ireland and all over the world, not being used for agriculture or industry anymore, fill them with broadleaf and pine trees to suck the carbon out if it's a problem, which it isn't. And they look at you like this. They look at you like that. And you don't really get, I'm shaking again, you don't really get any straightforward answers. It's almost like they've been instructed at some kind of subconscious level not to look towards carbon reduction in terms of planting forestry. And I could never understand that, because that's a win-win. You know, you have the Swedish doom potato. As we speak, millions of biodiversity. You know that cunt. I hate you, or whatever she says. You have ruined my aristocratic childhood. You know, you plant trees, broadleaf, mixed species. You get wildlife diversity increase. You get the carbon taken from the air. You get beauty in this time of year, the autumnal leaves and stuff. There's your obvious answer. How can you fail? But they never bring it up. They never mention it. They talk about colossal machines that suck the carbon from the air. And this kind of shite. And I could never understand why. And now I know why. One of the reasons I stopped doing vlogs from the car is because the signal was becoming increasingly poor. And the reason why the signal was becoming increasingly poor is that the cypress leylandis that I planted years ago have now reached an enormous size, and they're stopping the Wi-Fi signal from getting in. How can you have your big tech digital prison surveillance state if there are trees all over the place? This is why they're cutting down trees everywhere. In the age of allegedly the green age, this is why they're cutting trees down. This is why they're felling trees along railway lines and highways. And you know, those trees that were planted by Victorian engineers, it's shaking and the ship is shaking, Victorian engineers, those trees were meant like the way seagrass forms sand dunes at the beach. Those trees hold those embankments on either side. So a lot of those Victorian embankments are now unstable because the trees have been cut down for like 5G and all that stuff. And there's going to be train accidents eventually. Eventually there'll be a very heavy rain and that. Now we've had flooding. So that's why, there's your answer. That's why they don't plant trees. They block the digital prison planet, the smart cities and all the smart countryside and all that crap. That's the first one. Now the second one I was thinking about, there was a few of them, but I was going to mention something else then. As I said, the railways, embankments, blah 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 blah. It'll come to me. Now another one. This is a weird one. This is me in pure tinfoil hat mode. Now, if you know me, when things like this happen, I don't jump for try it on conspiracy spray. Psh, psh, like fucking Illuminati. Psh. Jean-Paul Gaultier's Illuminati. Psh. I don't go reach for that stuff. I tend to see it in the psychic weather stuff that you see like on Hocus Pocus. And here's a weird one for you, right? Mick Jagger. Now I haven't looked online to check the dates, but you remember when the lockdown happened and the vax came out?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to take this opportunity to advise you of the closing times and our outlets this evening. Our taste restaurant at the forward end of deck 7 will take last orders and close at 11 p.m. Our onboard shop on deck 7 will close at 11 p.m. and our Sky Bar on deck number 8 will take last orders and close at 11:15. Our taste restaurant will take last orders at 11 p.m. Our on-board shop on deck number 7 will close at 11 p.m. and our sky bar on deck number 8 will take last orders at 11:15. Thank you and good evening.
That's ridiculous, because I remember for years and years the ships on the Irish Sea didn't have closing hours, and the bars on the ships, and there was even casinos, gambling casinos, because you're in international waters. The bars on the casinos were open all night. It's just one more of those things, like bar closed 11:30. Go to bed. Go to your smart bed. But anyway, yeah. So when the lockdown and the needlecraft and all that first started, do you remember that Mick Jagger and the Pentagon operative Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, formerly Nirvana, did a basic... Am I back? I apologize for the quality of this. There's nothing I can do about it. I know Tarquin, the Mickey sucker, and fucking sailing vessel, its connection to satellites. I'm not that omnipotent, but anyway, that would piss off my drummer. But so, what happened to both the Rolling Stones and the Foo Fighters in the wake of being troubadours for... Now you could say, well, Charlie Watts is fairly old, and the guy from the Foo Fighters, he looked fairly young. I don't know how old, but he dropped dead as well. And there was people had rumored that was it the needlecraft, but it was weird, wasn't it? The Rolling Stones and the Foo Fighters singers and I hate the fucking Foo Fighters, are awful. People make fun of Nickelback. The Foo Fighters are worse, by virtue of the fact that the Foo Fighters don't know that they're Nickelback. And that try-hard American 9-year-olds living in, suburban Pasadena or something, I don't understand the appeal of the Foo Fighters. Basically, they do they do their own songs, but they have to do these gimmicky songs where they do people's songs and they invite people on stage. That guy Never Gonna Give, Rick Astley, is just retarded. I don't understand why he was selected. Drummer from Nirvana was selected for this other role. I saw a video where it was about the White House giving a tribute to Paul McCartney, and Dave Grohl was one of the hand-picked, Pentagon-approved celebrities to serenade Obama, and he was sickening. He was talking about how President Obama was his greatest hero and all this kind of thing. It was just like, it was nauseating. But I find everything about him and the Foo Fighters nauseating. And it's just weird that Charlie Watts and the drummer from the Foo Fighters die in the wake of them doing a troubadour song about serenading the prison planet. Now, you would leave it at that and say, okay, it's just a coincidence. What band is the house band of the globalists? U2, right? U2 are the house band of the globalists. Well, in the nearly 50 years that band has been going, they played gigs in Las Vegas at that big bally fucking thing without Larry Mullen. And what is Larry Mullen? Drummer. That's weird, isn't it? It's almost like, okay, when you think about it, in modern rock music, who is the most organic member of the band in terms of producing the music outside of vocalists? The drummer. Drums are still, pieces of material objects that are beaten, that are mic'd up, but they're beaten. And the drum, you don't have a rock and roll band without the backbeat, without the drummer. And it's almost like the gods telling us that rock and roll is now officially dead, which we kind of known for a long time, but it was completely dead it's one of those things. It's like, where has reality gone? You know, who's that guy who was in Tenacious D? That actor. He was in School of Rock. Ugly American bastard. I can't think of his name. But I saw him praising Joe Biden because he drives a Corvette, and there's nothing more in the spirit of punk rock than driving a Corvette. A high-end American sports car is the spirit of punk rock. This is like, where's reality gone? But reality has gone to a place but it's aftershocks. It's aftershocks. It's residue. Are these synchronicities? These symbols. These things that happen, like the drummers of three bands not being there, and the three bands are very heavily involved in the control grid. Two of them especially. The Rolling Stones, I don't know. I just find it interesting that the Rolling Stones have been amply rewarded for that. Their album, whatever it's called, something Diamonds, is getting unbelievable marketing and hype everywhere. These guys are, Bill Wyman is nearly 90. I think Bill Wyman is 88 this year or something. Nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying, we have a band with people with a rock and roll band with octogenarians in it, getting the most hype of any band at the moment, and we're being told that they're really cool and their album is amazing. It's the usual pedestrian Rolling Stone sounding stuff, but it's almost like that's the reward they were given for serving the man with their pro Needlecraft lockdown song, and which resulted in the death of their drummer and the other guy's drummer. You couldn't make this stuff up. Now, it could all be coincidence. It probably is, but it could also be symbolic. It could also be, sort of like resonance from the gods telling us, pay attention, look at this, pay attention, watch, this kind of thing. And you know me, I'm a firm believer in all that stuff. It's when I say I plan to do something and I'm on a road trip or something, I'm suddenly confronted with, especially if I'm in a kind of an occultic state in that zone, too closely related to what I'm involved in for it to be mere happenstance, for it to be mere coincidence. Like, for instance, lately I don't know if any of you know, but on the very early days, 10 years ago, I built an art installation of a black van, and I had a very deep interest in the sort of like the mythological symbolism, archetypes of a van, that you don't know what it carries. It's strange, and I got the idea from the film Jeepers Creepers. What we always remember with that film is that van. And in the upcoming book, which with Sarah I'm writing on the Hocus Focus, there's a chapter I talk about the symbolism of these vans. And it talks about loudspeaker vans used in Nazi propaganda and how they became the TV detector vans used by the BBC and here in Ireland as well by RTE to look for people who hadn't paid for their TV license. And at the same time too, is particularly in the BBC case, what did you have at the height of the BBC telling people that there are detector vans going around who will punish you if you don't pay your TV license? You had Jimmy Savile driving around England in his van, basically raping disabled girls on the run from the police, a BBC employee, on Savile's Travels, a radio show he was doing. So the van, and then like last night, I've become, you know, a lot of, I know a lot of truthers will hate this, but I'm absolutely fascinated by Marina Abramovich. And I was looking at retrospectives of some of her work, and one of them was The Artist and Present at MoMA in New York from 2017, I think it was. And what did she have on display? A black van, a full-size black van. And this all happens at the same time I'm thinking about the symbolism of the van, the Nazi loudspeaker propaganda van, you know, Achtung, Achtung, assemble, Juden, this kind of thing. The BBC detector van spawned out of that, Jimmy Savile's van, the van and Jeep. You know, they all, when you see the world in symbolic language, nothing is ever ordinary again. I really got to write a book about this. I'm thinking of writing a book about my sort of like occultic philosophy, my sort of lifelong occultic philosophy, and events that have happened in my life. I know I covered that a bit in sorcery, but I think there's lots I haven't spoken about, and I think maybe next year I might have a go at that. And you shouldn't worry about Jehovah and what's going on in the Middle East and all that, and you shouldn't worry about. I know it's just you have to deal with it. The high and fade. Don't push yourself into an existence of terminal moments. But when you start to see the world in this kind of high strangeness framework, this archetypal, ontological manner, and coupled with things like the 40 and the paranormal, life is infinitely easier because it's almost like you've actually tapped into the language of the gods. You've tapped, and the way some artists have, Marina Abramovich absolutely has. I know the truth is going, my spirit quote, but they haven't really looked at her work, and that kind of thing. But you become to the point where you see the theatrical nature of it all, and how it really taps into the whole thing of the wave function collapse and the matrix and all this stuff, and why things happen as they do. There are no accidents. Every phenomena or cultural fad that explodes, an international news event, they come with a kind of a layered level of symbology. And that layered level of symbology provides you with a toolkit of survival. Now, here's an example. I mentioned the high strangeness concerning globalist musical institutions and the loss of their drummers. 2 deaths and 1 absence. Just by me thinking about that, without going, oh, the Illuminati, out to kill us and all this stuff, just by sheer noticing that, I feel better equipped to live with the slings and arrows of outrageous fortunes. Love you. Take care. Friggin' in the riggin', friggin' in the riggin', friggin' in the riggin'. There was fuck all else to do.